Greetings, everyone. This is Jeff Wilkerson, Professor of Physics at Luther College, bringing you the next in our series of what to look for in the night sky. We're talking about the week of September 2nd. This time around, we've made the transition to meteorological fall. And what that means, so it's a good moon week. The moon's going to be new to start the week. You won't be able to find the moon until later in the week at all. But that means we can start to see the real markers of fall, and we can use that dark sky to our advantage somewhat. And the great square of Pegasus climbing over the horizon, the eastern horizon, is for me the sort of iconic symbol of fall. And by now, you know, all four squares, all four stars on the corners of that great square of Pegasus, it's big in the sky, bigger than it looks like there. You see this climbing over the horizon. Those are up and pretty easy to see by 9 o'clock, probably 9:30. Depends a little bit on your local time there. So let's look at this lower right. So you're looking to the east, and you see this big diamond shape like this coming up over the horizon. The lower right star, the alpha star, Pegasus, is Merkab at magnitude 2.5. All these are good bright stars. There's not a lot of other bright stars in there, so this diamond really pops out. And so you can find the great square of Pegasus if you haven't before. Great thing to do in the week or two ahead. Merkab, remember that magnitude system counts backwards, so a smaller number is brighter, and every step in magnitude is a multiplicative factor of 2.5 in brightness. And we can see maybe, you know, you got a good dark sky, you could see down to somewhere in the neighborhood of 5th magnitude. Real dark, real dry sky, you might be able to see a little bit fainter. But for most of us, 4th or 5th is probably what we're going to see most of the time, most of the places where we live. And so we can drop down from that lower right, from Merkab on the great square of Pegasus, and we've got this arm that comes out of Pegasus that looks like that. And there's some stars along the way. Xi is going to be a 4.2 magnitude star, so that's how you can test your sky. If you've got a lot of light pollution, you might not be able to see it. But most of us are going to be able to see that, and we can see how much that pops out. And then Hammam is a 3.4 magnitude star. Biham is a 3.5 magnitude star. And you turn up to a brighter star, Enif is a 2.4 magnitude star. So we track this arm of Pegasus down and around, and we keep moving this direction about half that distance again. And a little bit above that line, we come to the globular cluster M15. Big, beautiful globular star cluster. We've talked about globular star clusters many times this summer. They're great summertime objects. Remember, globular star clusters live in a halo around the center of the galaxy like this. We're out here. We're looking toward the center of the galaxy, and that's where we're looking in the evening summertime sky. So this is a great thing to see these globular star clusters. Earlier in some of these little short videos we're shooting, we talked about a lot of globular star clusters, and M15 we maybe even have looked at it one time or another. And we're going to just use it as a waypoint on the way by. See if you can find it with binoculars. You got a small telescope, you should be able to find that just, you know, half that distance from Biham to Enif and up just ever so slightly. But if you continue on, take this distance maybe 3 times, that distance right there from Merkab to Biham over to here, and you come to Delphinus. And Delphinus is this fun little diamond of stars with a tail that looks like a kite or looks like a jumping dolphin, perhaps, Delphinus there. And of those stars, the point star, the nose star right up there. So all of these stars are pretty visible. You know, we're talking about 3rd magnitude kinds of stars. And so all of these stars that we've drawn are pretty visible. And right at the tip out there is Gamma. And Gamma is a beautiful binary star, 2 stars actually physically associated with each other in orbit around each other, and a separation of about 10 arc seconds, which means that almost no matter where you are and almost no matter what kind of small telescope you have, you'll be able to split those into individual stars. So that's your target. Go to M15, go identify the stars of Delphinus and see if you can see the pattern of Delphinus right there, and then look for Gamma and see if you can see this beautiful double star. But just off the tip of the nose, about that distance, here to here to here, about that distance again, is another globular cluster that in years past I know we've talked about. I don't think we have yet this summer. But this globular cluster is NGC 7006, and it's known as the Intergalactic Wanderer. And that's because you got this halo here, and this one is far removed from that halo. It's way out here in space, sort of a large distance to the next galaxy, almost hard to figure out which galaxy that globular cluster also belongs to. Other galaxies have globular clusters around them too, and interestingly enough, our globular clusters are all old. They were all formed a long time ago in the early days of the galaxy. So we can age these clusters by which stars have evolved off the main sequence in stellar evolution. And we can see that they're all very old. M31, the Andromeda Galaxy, which is up here, and we'll talk about that a couple of times. We always have to talk about that. But it's up here. And that Andromeda Galaxy, our nearest neighbor, big full-size galaxy, it has a population of old and a population of younger globular clusters as well. So they aren't, so these are born in bursts like that, and ours are all uniformly old here. So anyway, see if you can find that. See if you can find M15. Identify these stars in the arm of Pegasus. See if you can see the pattern of Delphinus. Look at gamma in the nose, and see if you can split that binary star, and then look for a very faint, very small globular star cluster off the tip, off the nose of Delphinus, out that direction as the intergalactic wanderer, far away from the main population of globular star clusters in our galaxy. Now, in the evening sky, the moon will start to make an appearance, and in the evening of the 5th, the moon will be about 8% full. 8% is right around where we can start to see it reliably. If it's much smaller than that, if it's much less full than that, it's too close to the sun, and it's in the glow of the sunset, and it's really hard to see. You can do it. Even this isn't trivial to see, but what helps us here is it's right next to Venus. And where you live depends on how full the moon is and how close it is to Venus. It's moving this direction, right, as the evening wears on. So if you live east of me, the moon will be less full and will be closer to Venus. If you live west of me and you're observing later than I'm observing, the moon will be a little bit more full and a little bit further away from Venus. But Venus, I've been watching Venus the past week. We've had some good sunsets. And our good sunsets have allowed me to be able to observe Venus each night here in the orangey glow. You get an orange sunset from smoke and dust in the atmosphere, and that orangey glow, all of a sudden there's a big bright white dot popping out there that's Venus. So Venus is good in the evening sky right now and should be a good guide to the moon. Binoculars will help you right there, will be great. By the next night, on the evening of the 6th, the moon has filled out to about 13% full. Again, I'm observing from the central part of the United States. It depends where you're observing, east or west of me, but it will be very close to Spica, the brightest star in Virgo. But in the glow of the sunset, Spica is pretty hard to see. Binoculars will help you see, and the moon, will, as a guide, will help you see if you can pull Spica out of the glow of the sunset. But the moon will be, for me, about 13% full, a little more full if you live west of me, a little less full if you live east of me, a little closer to Spica if you live right on type of Spica, probably if you live east of me enough, and a little further away from Spica if you live west of where I am. Now, by the evening of the 7th and the morning of the 8th, and we're really talking about the morning of the 8th, but also the morning of the 9th. Last week, I'm sure you remember everything we talked about last week. Why wouldn't you remember every single word I ever say? I don't know. I think you do. And so last week we talked about the open star cluster M35 as the moon. We have Jupiter and Mars in the morning sky. I've been watching that too. Our mornings have been pretty good as well. Jupiter and Mars in the morning sky, watching the moon slide past that region of the sky and go near the moon passed near open star cluster M35 in Gemini. Yeah, open star clusters, unlike globular star clusters, open star clusters live dotted all along the plane of our galaxy in the disk like this. So we have some open star clusters that are much nearer us and some that are much further away, and they're not all in one direction, and they have a smaller number of stars than globular star clusters, and they're all ages. They're not uniformly old like these globular star clusters, but this was a great example. What's beautiful is on the morning of the 8th and the morning of the 9th, Mars will pass within a degree, within a finger width at arm's length of that open star cluster M35. Get your binoculars out, get your telescope out, and see what you can see right there. If you got the ability to take pictures of this region of the sky, this is going to be a great photographing opportunity as Mars slides under M35 out there. And that's what we got for you this week. We got a beautiful crescent moon with Venus and Spica in the evening sky. We got Mars as the week progresses, passing very close to the open star cluster M35. We got a couple of globular star clusters in the evening sky for you to try to find some stars in Pegasus that maybe you haven't seen before if you just focus on the great square. And then let's see if you can find the pattern of Delphinus and look at the nose of the dolphin right there to find the beautiful binary star Gamma. And so as always, everybody, thanks for watching, and we hope you have a great week ahead and good observing.